For 30 years now, I've explored many areas of California, but I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit that I had never visited the coastal redwood forests until just a few weeks ago. My wife might have a different recollection, but I'm pretty sure that when I put this trip on the calendar, it was intended to be a dedicated photography trip. However, somewhere along the way it turned into a full-blown camping trip instead. Now it includes wife, 2 daughters, daughter's boyfriend, and 2 dogs. It's all good. I'm lucky to have a family that tolerates my obsession. While the rest of the family is still sleeping, I escape early and drive down the road a ways to reach a popular trail. Walking through this grove of redwoods in the early morning fog generated a feeling of déjà vu. It took me a few moments to figure out why it felt familiar. I keep a list in my head of the most amazing things I've been lucky enough to experience and see with my own eyes. Near the top of that list is scuba diving in the kelp forests off the coast of California, something I used to do regularly. There is something about the diffused light, the dense blanket of ferns at ground level, and the trees reaching ever upwards towards an unseen sky that makes this experience feel oddly similar. I even feel a bit like I'm floating through this scene. It's a completely immersive environment. When visiting such an impressive place for the first time, it's tempting to pull out the camera right away and go crazy, but I force myself to walk a section of trail a few times and study available compositions. I discover that unfortunately the lower part of the trail extending to the ocean is closed, so I have less to work with than I anticipated. This might end up being a good thing, as it forces me to concentrate on fewer subjects. The primary challenge seemed to be a matter of scale. On the one hand, you have these enormous trees. You can be standing many feet away and yet easily fill the entire frame with a single tree trunk. On the other hand, you have these wonderful small and more intricate details in the form of ferns and rhododendron flowers. My goal was to find compositions that incorporated both large and small elements in a complementary manner. The fog was certainly a welcome addition, In fact, it almost seemed essential in that it provided visual separation between foreground and background elements. Objects in the distance appeared as apparitions, while those in the foreground were prominent and detailed. Without the moisture in the air, everything would likely be compressed into a single wall of chaos. Time passed quickly, and eventually I felt like I should probably return to camp and say good morning to my family. I ended up visiting this trail a few times during the trip, and on each occasion I waited around hoping to catch that moment when the fog dissipates and beams of sunlight break through the canopy above. That never happened, but I didn't leave feeling disappointed. This short section of trail was a wonderful first taste of the coastal redwoods. I was able to get a sense of what this landscape has to offer, and yet I know that I barely scratched the surface. I hope to return again and further explore additional areas. Here are some images that I captured.